Right. Hello, everybody here. Hello, everybody not here. I'm Bridget, and as Simon has said, I have the wonderful job of being the Chief Controller, which means I go greyer and greyer every year, but it's excellent fun. And I'm down to talk to you about control. I'm going to take that as being logistics and safety. And the first thing that I want to say is your locos may be 1/5 full scale, but this is a railway. And it has all the same issues and risks as a full-scale railway. It's not a toy, so please treat it as a railway and think about what those risks are. The two things that I want to talk about are safety and reliability. And they are both absolutely key for a full-scale railway and for this railway. As many people will know, railways don't work very well if the assets are not reliable. And the same applies to your locomotives. So please try and do as much as you can beforehand to be reliable. I thought this isn't a map, this is a schematic overlaid on a map. It gives you an idea of the site. So have I got to... Don't worry, I shall stand in front of it and point. If I need to. So up the top left, and I shall zoom in on this in a minute and give you a bit more information, is the working area, the station. That's where a lot of the activity takes place. Once we leave from there, then the blue line is the railway. And that goes from point 1 that's marked there, round a bit of a curve, down, turns left, goes down past 0.7, 0.6, etc., to what looks like a junction. That is all a single track. So it's a bidirectional single track. And then there's the loop at the bottom, which is also single track, but unidirectional. So you go from point 1, 0.8, past J, H, I to A and B, round the loop, and then back up again. And once you've set off from the station, that's all you can do. You keep going all the way around until you get back. On some of the runs, there is time to step back and have another go at something within your time slot. But you can't go round the loop a second time. As you can see, that's not a triangle. It's only a junction. So once you start round the loop, you're going all the way around the loop. There are no sidings. There are no passing places. It's a fairly simple railway, which makes the controller's job rather more of a challenge, because we have to make sure that the trains go out, the trains come back, and the next one's ready to go. And the space we have at our... Yeah, the next one.
I try where you keep talking.
Yeah, how to get the next slide. Haven't worked out how to drive this yet. Right. Okay, that's fine. I can go forwards and back now. Good. Right. So that's the station area zoomed in. And we've got the station building, which you can see. We've got the sidings. So counting from the top, there's road 1, road 2, road 3 is the long one, which goes down to the workshop at the left. And then road 4, which divides into 4A and 4B. Up until now, that is where all the locos have had to be. So we've got 14 locomotives on the list for this year. If they all turn up, that's not a lot of space. We've had 12 locomotives in previous years. That is not a lot of space to park 12 locomotives and get the right one out at the right time in the right order. This year, we will have access to the turntable, which is this thing here. And that will make life a little bit easier. It's a different set of challenges. We're not yet sure exactly how many roads we will have off the turntable come June, but the turntable itself will be working. So some of the teams will be located, maybe some of the time, maybe all of the time, round at the turntable, rather than in the sidings. The walking group from one to the other is easy. It's not a problem to get from one to the other. But as you will see, Getting a train from the turntable round into the station, which is where everything starts from, is also not that easy. It's only a single track. So we've got a different set of logistical challenges in terms of getting the locos from the turntable. We've got more scope about which one we take out because it's a turntable. We can pick which one is ready. So taking reliability first, my plea to all the teams is listen to the advice from everybody today. Do as much as you can. Every project manager says this, do as much as you can, as early as you can. Don't leave it till the last minute, and do as much testing as you can in advance so that you are reliable. There will be issues. When there are issues, please tell us, and we and the FSMR folk will do our best to help you. As anybody who was there last year will know, one of the FSMR guys got a special prize because he manufactured bits for 3 teams. And any one of those teams would have struggled to take part if Jim hadn't gone into his workshop and produced the little bit that they just needed. So please ask if there's an issue. Don't get stuck in your rut, ask, and somebody may well be able to help you. So that's the reliability. Safety is the other thing that I want to talk about. And some of you know this very well already. Trains are heavy. They don't stop very quickly. Bits of them can be hot. They can creep up on you when you're not looking. Tracks can be, rails can be slippy, sleepers can be slippy. There are plenty of things to trip over. So there's quite a lot of hazards, and we need to manage all of those. So we expect everybody to be responsible for their own safety, but also to look out for everybody else. So if you see something or somebody doing something that you really think isn't helpful, if you don't want to challenge them directly, flag it up with one of us. We're very happy to go and have a word and say, is there a better way of doing that? We don't want to damage anybody, and we don't want to damage any of the locos. 2 of the key safety activities, risks, are unloading and loading your locomotives. For those of anybody who hasn't built one yet, you've seen the pictures that Simon put up. The weight of the locos vary, but they can be anything up to a ton. That is a lot of locomotive. Getting that in and out of a van is a challenge. And we really would encourage you to think about, can you bring it to site in component parts that are rather easier to manage, and then do your final reassembly on site? Manipulating a ton of locomotive onto the lift tailgate on the back of a Luton van is a high risk occupation. The dimensions are such that they just about fit or don't fit. In the early years, you saw the picture of the first Aachen locomotive that won in, I can't remember which year it was. At that stage, their workshop was in the basement in their institution. So they had to have it in bits because that was the only way they could get it out of the basement where they were working on it up to the track where they were running on it. So they had that locomotive in 3 or 4 parts, each of which they could easily handle. And then it was quick to assemble. So they designed it in a way that enabled them to disassemble it, carry it, and reassemble it. Well worth thinking about. The other thing worth thinking about is how you load your van, because the logistics, and I will move on to my final slide. That doesn't look like a conventional timetable, but that is the work plan from 2024. Each of those colours is a team. You won't be able to read it, but each line is an activity, and there is an activity for several activities going on at different times. That is essentially the timetable of what needs to happen. The top line is unloading. The bottom line is loading. The way that we set it up is there's essentially overlapping 1 hour slots for unloading. That just about works. Because we can do 2 teams at a time, 1 from each side. Having the turntable won't help that. It'll still probably be 2 teams at a time. People who can unload quicker than that are wonderful. We really like people who can unload quickly. And we would also encourage you to separate the loco itself, which you probably need to unload onto the track, and all the other stuff that goes with it, like the gazebo and the tools and the chairs and all the other things that you want to bring with you, which can be unloaded somewhere else and brought across. So we're not cluttering up the loading area, the unloading area. Loading is even worse. When we've finished the presentations on the Sunday afternoon, everybody is tired, everybody wants to get home, and everybody wants to be first. Now, they can't all be first. We've got 14 teams, potentially, to get locos back into transport. We've tried to do it 3 at a time. It just about works. It never works to that time. That suggests that we finish by 7 o'clock. It's more often 10 o'clock at night by the time the last loco is loaded up. If we've got 14, it's going to be. So please think about how you can make it easy for yourselves and for everybody else to unload and load. I think that's all I wanted to say. I'm happy to take any questions now, or we've got the Q&A coming later. We've talked about that. The question was, have we ever thought about penalties for slow unloading or loading? At the moment, we haven't, because we don't want to encourage people to rush. We don't want to trade off timing for safety. So that's why I'm encouraging you now, rather than saying you have to do it in a certain time. We don't want people rushing. We don't want them taking risks and cutting corners. So that's why at the moment we haven't done that. But yes, we have thought about it.
It'd be difficult to do it for the loading, of course, because we've already given the trophies out. So. Pull everybody back. And...
Oh, sorry, you can't have that. You're taking too long to load up.
You could do it for the unloading.
Yeah. The difficulty was that the trade-off of that would encourage people to cut corners, and we do not want to do that. We want it to. The first thing is it has to be safe. If it takes a bit longer, that's okay, but please don't plan. And I guess the final thing on that is to practice. And my hint for that, we'll probably come back to some of these hints later, is don't just put it in the van and then take it out again. Put it in the van, go for a 20-minute ride around some rough roads, then take it out again. Because you might not find it's exactly how it was when you put it in.
We do require a method statement, of course.
We do, but that doesn't say how long it's going to take.
That's just
Another year we can have an unloading challenge.
The safest or the fastest thing.
Fastest.
Right, so should I, if I stop sharing?
Yes.
And close that,
Yes.
I shall let's.
Were there any other specific questions?
No.
Oh, okay, we'll do Q&A. Yeah. Thank you very much, Bridget. Fantastic. I'm just going to open Malcolm's presentation because there's a lot on here. Is it this one, judging briefing?
That's the one.
Yeah. I think if I do it in the sequence, it will definitely work. And that.
Project.
And then the sharing the screen. Why isn't the presentation appearing? So that's there. Let me just do that again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Okay, so Malcolm Dobell, as I said, is the deputy head judge. Thank you, Malcolm.
So I'm going to talk about the various submissions you have to send in. Tim will probably correct me where I got it wrong, because he's the writer of the rules. But I generally end up either surveying what's been sent in, or in the case of some of the competitions, judging them. And there's hopefully some hints and tips as to how you can do them better. I can make this work. Which button am I supposed to press, Tim? Simon?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think go on that one and then use that. I think it'll work okay.
So these are things you've got to do prior to the challenge weekend. There's a schedule of dates in the rules, which are very clearly laid out. The first thing, and believe it or not, the first one's actually already been received, is the outline project plan. We don't mark it, but you're required to send it in so we can get a feel for whether you actually have some idea of what you're doing. Putting it very bluntly, sometimes I get one page, which might be an Excel spreadsheet with a list of activities down one side and little bars along the other side. Actually, that's perfectly valid. Other people write a project plan saying who's going to do what, who's going to do what when, who the team are, who's been assigned to be in charge of what, and might run to 20 or 30 pages. Both are equally valid, as long as you put some thought into them. The things you should consider: concept design, the design approval, testing, track testing, and competition week itself. So those will be your milestones. You should think of the activities you need to complete in order to get to those milestones. Otherwise, frankly, they'll end up as millstones. You won't have done everything you need, and therefore the achievement you want won't happen. The design challenge is probably one of the biggest ones that you have to face. You're allowed quite a lot of space to write up how your locomotive is designed. And my best tip of all is use that space. The teams that do well in that competition, generally the ones who've written the longest submissions. You can't do it with boilerplate. It's got to be relevant and useful stuff. But it is generally, if you make it short, you've left out detail that actually would help the judges understand what you're saying. All too often, we get someone says they're going to do something. It's not at all clear what it is. So make sure that you've taken clause by clause of the specification, show how you're going to comply with it. When you've used diagrams, make sure you've explained them in text. When you've explained things in text, illustrate them with diagrams. Stress that time and time again. It's well worth putting the effort into those. The next thing is you're required to write about your optional challenges. All the optional challenges require written submission as well as a demonstration on track. Part that is from the aerodynamic challenge, which is only a written submission. But please make those submissions separate from the design challenge. Otherwise, we'll never find them. And so you might not get marked. The entry-level CAD challenge was the first time we ran it was this year, and the 3 teams that entered did a very creditable job. But think about the things you're required to cover in your challenge. They're laid out in the rules, the overall structure of the loco, and talk about one subsystem, so that you can demonstrate that you've got some idea of how your subsystem would work. Do by all means use some sort of CAD software. but please bear in mind that the judges have no access to that software, so there's no point sending in a CAD model. The innovation is one for the teams that are going to provide a loco. It's an innovative feature of your design. So you're required to do it in learned paper format, and that is specified in the rules. The judges will mark your paper. The top 3 teams will be invited to do a presentation at Stapleford, and that's it's just a little bit of extra challenge for the teams that do the best. The judges will also seek a demonstration of your innovation during the weekend. So there's more marks if you've actually implemented your innovation on the locomotive. It's 60% for the paper, 40% for the demonstration on the locomotive. Entry-level teams can only achieve the score for the written challenge, and that's accepted. Clearly, if you haven't incorporated your innovation on the locomotive, or if it doesn't work, you may not achieve full marks. Technical poster, the rules set out what's required of you, which is to be able to explain how the loco works, but think of it in terms of marketing as well as strictly complying with the rules. Don't just make it look beautiful. Make it appeal to members of the who have come to visit the competition to see what the loco is all about. The spectators don't necessarily know anything about the locomotives. They'll use the posters to understand them. And sometimes we rope in some spectators to help do the judging of that particular competition. So make them interesting. The business case is we do online heats. You're expected to participate in the fiction that you're a manufacturer that's offering locomotives to a company that is able to lease locomotives to miniature railways. Please enter into the spirit of this. It is fictional, but you're required to look carefully at the business case that you might offer to these people who want to buy your loco. So it's got to have a return on investment. It's got to have reasonable purchase costs. It's got to have reasonable whole life costs. They want to know that it's recyclable. They want to know that it's likely to have a market. And some teams have entered into the spirit of this and invented scenarios in which they could sell their locomotives. One suggested that their locomotive was based on the design of trains for the Piccadilly line and identified all the parks adjacent to the Piccadilly line and suggested that this fictional leasing company could help build miniature railways in all these parks that could be populated by these locomotives so that it would help market the Piccadilly line. It's absolute nonsense, of course, but it entered into the spirit of the competition and makes people smile and gets the judges on your side. Think of it as Dragon's Den. That's probably the best thing I can think of. The optional challenges, don't forget to submit your preferences. I can't remember the deadline, but it's not too far away. Thank you, Tim. And what will happen is I'll assign a judge to look at each optional challenge, and they will look at your written submissions, they will look at your performance on the day, and then they will award the marks. The aerodynamic challenge, of course, is one where it's only awarded based on the written submission, but they will make those assessments. And finally, don't forget your videos and your chartered engineer's certificate that the that locomotive has actually passed all its tests in these demonstrations. And here's one particular team that was actually managing to demonstrate its locomotive worked. They've forgotten to put the body on it, unfortunately. I'm not going to carry this through to the bitter end, but somehow to represent that this had a decent amount of running. I have to say, one team one year submitted a video of the locomotive on about 10 meters of track, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth for an hour. That was really quite a boring video. And I think that is the end of that particular section. So any questions?
Got some online questions, but I think
They're not specific.
not specific to this.
Right.
Any questions specific to what Malcolm's just been talking about? Otherwise,
Move on to the next.
plenty of time.
So in terms of maybe the testing video, is there going to be any sort of assistance in terms of if we can't find a test track which could possibly like accommodate it, maybe we could use FSMR around the south of the.
Will you just repeat the question?
Yes. So the question's about access to test tracks, which and could we use FSMR, which I think Simon's going to answer.
Yeah, I think the answer on FSMR is no, really, because what we've said, and I think we've written it in the rules, that to protect the rail, because they're not there all the time, the people, so we don't want, and kind of if one team started doing it, then every team would want to test their loco on the test site. So what we're saying is no to FSMR, but we will make other arrangements for you. So Aaron, if you haven't got access to somewhere, then, contact probably through Lib or contact one of us, and we will offer you some other options, because there are quite a few test tracks around railways, not test tracks really, but railways of the right gauge around the country. And also now quite a few teams have places. So some teams have gone to other teams' tracks to do that. So we'll certainly help you to do that, but please not Stapleford itself. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Which team are you from? Ah, okay.
Okay, so there's just a little bit of discussion about that, but if any teams online need support with that, then we will definitely help. But please don't contact the railway Stapleford themselves. We've written that into the rules.
Martin's going to ask us some questions
Yeah.
now.
There are some questions that are most suitable for this presentation.
All right. Do you want to put your mic on then, or what we're going to do? Yeah.
So yes, we've had a few questions online. So one is the entry level teams required are they required to submit an innovation paper, or is that only the full competition?
They are required to submit an innovation paper.
Okay,
They are.
so that's a yes, entry level teams submitting an innovation paper.
They can't, as Tim said, they can't get full marks.
Yeah.
But there will be a little bit of a competition between the entry level teams as to who can do best on innovation.
Right, okay, so it's only between the entry level teams.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. It's also great practice for when you do the innovation in the full time next year. So the next question is about the project plan, and again for an entry level team. Does that vary for does the outline project plan vary for the entry level competition?
Only in as much that their plan will cover the things they've got to do as entry level. So it might have the same contents as someone who's building a loco.
Yeah, that makes sense. In the rules, it doesn't mention the exact method of power for the locomotive. Is that up to the discretion of the team? So that's not strictly a submission one, but yeah,
It's up to the teams.
Absolutely.
Yes. We might be a bit more of a risk assessment if they wanted a nuclear power plant.
okay, yes, that makes sense.
We did, yes.
So that comment was
Compressed air.
that comment was we have in the past had steam/compressed air as a power source, but it is up to the discretion of the team what power source they use as the answer to that one. And then the last question submitted there is, for the entry level, are we expected to follow all the requirements the same as the standard challenge, basically?
The spec outlines what it is you're supposed to cover and what items are not appropriate. Look carefully, and if in doubt, pose a question.
Yes, so if you have any specific that you want to question, I guess send a question into the IMechE and they'll contact the judges. I think there was someone else asked something in the chat rather than the question and answer, so just give me a moment. There is very little guidance in the design report in the specification. Could we get more information either about the suggested content or the marking criteria? So that's for the design report. Someone's asked about
the design challenge.
All right, that we do post a sample compliance matrix on the website somewhere. We have offered the scheme of marking before now. I'll go back and revise the scheme of marking.
We have a little bit there, don't we?
Yes. So if you look at rule C12.7, that says that's got some detail, which is the general way we will mark it. And then there's some further criteria in the specification. But the key thing is, how does the logo work and how does it comply with the specification are the two key requirements. And by all, please explain concepts such as how you recover energy, how you're going to do auto stop, because we need to understand those. They're required to come to a complete understanding between the driver and the judges. But if we understand in advance how they work, that will really help.
Okay, fabulous. That's, oh, hang on. I think another question has appeared. Okay, a few more have appeared. I suggest we move on and we'll take them in the question and answer session in a moment.
Thank you very much, Malcolm. So the next presentation is about the Vampire software, which is being offered, and delighted that Yunshi Zhao from Atkins Realis is here to give that presentation. Is it this one, Yunshi? Yes.
And to make all this font and colorful thing.
No, looks nice. Nice to have a bit of color. Right, and if I do that, then I think I was too quick last time, but
Yeah. So that's some special fonts for Atkins Realis
is there really?
for the year.
Okay, so I think that will work, and you can do it from here, Yunshi.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. So good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to see you guys. And yes, just my name is Yunshi. I'm Principal Dynamics Engaging Engineer of Atkins Realis. In case you don't know, it's a world-leading consultant, service provider, consultant. And I've been involved in Railway Challenge since year 0 at MMU. You know, even before the year 1 team you just showed, and involved in Huddersfield team for a few years as well. So yeah, highly recommend you to take the challenge, and I guarantee you will learn a lot of things from it. And so today I'll just talk about our offering of Vampire Pro to every one of you. How do I go?
Do that first. If you do it on the thing first, if you click that one here, the mouse is here.
Oh.
And then it seems to work after that.
Ah, right. Okay. Thank you. So let's try to start from vehicle dynamics. So I understand you must have learned something about dynamics in your course so far. And dynamics is a study of motion in mass. And so railway vehicle dynamics is a little bit different. It's rather complex. You have a very unique, mostly steel-to-steel wheel-rail interface, and the environment could be rather harsh. So that's why we need special software to normally solve the railway vehicle dynamics problems. And for your challenge, there are a few specific things that you could make use of railway vehicle dynamics software. And so it's, for example, 7.1.1, you need to demonstrate your wheel flange force during curving, so your train doesn't derail at curves. And then you need to demonstrate the wheel unloading performance, so your train wouldn't derail when it hits a dip in the track. And you could possibly look at 7.1.3 at your axle box alignment as well, using some dynamics too. And also for the challenge, the ride comfort challenge, which is 150 points, requires you to run your train not so slowly from point D to point E, and you will put a triaxial accelerometer on your train and assess the acceleration at X, Y, and Z in your car body. So yes, so with OnePy Pro is one of these railway vehicle dynamic software, and we start to build a vehicle model representing what you are going to build in real life, and set up some simulations and assess the performance before you even need to build your locomotive. So you are guaranteed, so you have much more confidence that what you build is going to work, and we're going to give you a little bit good performance in the challenges. So right, and next is just a quick introduction of OnePy Pro. It's a leading railway dynamic simulation package. It was made by the industry, by the railway industry, first made by the British Rail Research in the 1980s. And it's built solely for the railway industry. It's specifically designed for railway dynamics simulations. It doesn't really do anything similar to like the more multi-purpose dynamics simulation software that can simulate everything. And yeah, it's unlike some software you are possibly familiar with. It's developed by railway dynamics engineers, not by professional programmers, though we are trained to program professionally. Trust us on that, please. And yeah, so we know what people need to do, and we know how the best to solve them. So yeah, it's since 1980 has been continuously developed by various people, and now it's with us. So this software was validated quite extensively through on-track tests in the past decades, and was also shown very good results in the Manchester benchmark led by you, Simon. And I understand you tested, well, you benchmarked quite a few softwares, and OnePy was shown to be to give rather believable results, and it's very fast either to build or to simulate. So yeah, it's powerful, adaptable tool, and it's highly recognized throughout the world. I'll just show you how many clients we have like around the world using it. So yeah, if you get some experience using the software, it possibly give you some more job opportunities elsewhere once you finish your study. I hope so. And yeah, so yeah, we acquired rights to develop, support, and license OnePy since 2020. I have to write it down, otherwise I'll say the wrong thing, and someone may just chase me for damages. Yeah, so this all this big and little dots shows that our OnePy users around the world. So you see lots of them in the UK, of course, and many in Europe, and North America, South America, Australia, Asia, Southeast Asia, India, yeah, China, Japan, Korea, everywhere. So I have more than 50 users everywhere in the world. They are vehicle manufacturers, passenger freight operators, infrastructure managers, research institutes. So yeah, they all can find some use of OnePy in their life. And so when people use OnePy for, just take us Atkins Realis, for example, we do a whole lot of things with it. So vehicle dynamics, we look at suspension designs, assessments, and how to make the train ride a little bit more comfortably, how to make the train ride a little bit more safer, and how to use it to help assess design damages to the wheel-rail interface, to other mechanical components, etc. Look at track forces, and quite often to make sure the train that being sold to wherever is compliant to the local requirements. And yeah, we also look at wheel-rail interface. You might know that there are a lot of options of wheel-rail profiles, and sometimes we even design bespoke ones for clients if they need it. And we also look at adhesions and wheel-rail damage, wear, lubrications, a lot of things. And gauging, if you heard of them, we just use OnePy to make sure that the train does fit all our charming Victorian bridges and tunnels, very tight, but yeah, so make life a little bit challenging for everyone. So, and also we support testing with OnePy and identify like what kind of testing need to do, what kind of sensors, where you put them, etc. And also cross-validate our model against test results. Okay. And yeah, a lot of our clients do and us do a lot more innovative and exciting things as well. Like developing novel suspensions. Do some active controls. Some even study timetables and trying to predict fuel consumptions with that. So yeah, it's all good work. And so right, what we offer. So we made a special purpose version for Railway Challenge only. It does limit you to build normal gauge trains, but we think that will make life easier because you are not going to make a train with wrong gauge. That's and also there are some minor changes, like you can't make a train too heavy and you can't do some too crazy stuff with the train. So I think it's going to make your design a little bit easier than harder. And we give 2 free licenses per team for the duration of your competition. So means 2 people on your team can use it at the same time, to either build the vehicle or to run simulations and etc. And so please contact IMechE Railway Challenge team is the email for access to the software. They will forward the request to us and we'll sort the rest for you. And so I have to say the software is not ready yet. It's being polished, final polishing, and should be ready at some point next week. So please bear with us if it doesn't happen today. And support, we understand you're not railway vehicle dynamics yet. You will be if you want, I'm sure. And so we offer a half-day online training for free. And it'll be on Teams, it will be recorded, and recordings will be shared with all of you, so you can always revisit it whenever you want, or when you feel difficult to fall asleep. And so we also will give you a guidance, how to use OnePy guidance for Railway Challenge. We will list some vehicle modeling techniques and how to set up specific simulations as required by the design specifications and all your ride challenge. So we also will give you some sample OnePy vehicle models and simulations and all the supporting wheel-rail profiles and contact files, etc. All the supporting files that just enable you to have a feel of how everything works and how everything should look like. So you can either build things from scratch or feel free to edit those files. Okay, so So for further information, we have our Vampire website. If you can't remember the link, is fine. Just Google search Vampire Dynamics, and I'm very proud to say, the first link is us. So it doesn't give you anything, the flying vampire thingy, which is very good. And yeah, and our website has some demonstrations and some brief description of advanced user guide. It's not full advanced user guide, but demonstrations you can find our lead developer Alan Minnis spending 15 minutes to build a vehicle model in Vampire. So very impressive. I'm sure you will spend more time to do that. But have a good look, and you might find it interesting. So yeah, I think that's my presentation. If you have any questions, please do let us know.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, hello, Malcolm.
So now is the question and answer session. Quite a few questions have come in, but a lot of them are potentially quite technical. So I'm going to pick some key ones.
Yeah, I need for Yunchy first.
Yeah, we'll do Yunchy's first.
Yeah.
Okay, for this first?
Yeah.
Yeah, hello, Malcolm. Yeah.
You can repeat the question.
Yes.
Could the judges join in on the online training session?
Oh, I guess I don't need to repeat that question now, assuming there's no judge online. But yeah, you're welcome. If you want to know anything about Vampire, yeah.
Talk to you after.
Yes, feel free to. Yeah. Hello, yeah.
Super simple.
Yeah.
What's Vampire?
Very good question. To make it up now.
Repeat the question.
So the
Yeah.
question for those online was, why is it called Vampire? Which is a very good question.
See if you can remember the acronym.
It's very difficult.
And
No, it's not vehicle and it's vehicle. It's vehicle dynamics.
describe acronym.
Vehicle dynamics modeling, whatever. Yeah.
An answer to that, because I was involved in it at the time.
Yes.
There was a competition amongst the colleagues involved in it to come up with a name. And it's vehicle dynamics modeling package in a railway environment. You have to take the A out of dynamics instead of the D. The key thing about it was a catchy name that people remembered.
So for those online, what was it? Vehicle
Vehicle
dynamics.
dynamics modeling package in a railway environment.
Vehicle dynamics
By taking
modeling
the A
package
out of dynamics.
in a railway environment, except for dynamics, you have to use the A. And that was a competition between employees when they were developing it. But crucially, it's a catchy name people remember.
Yes.
I really touched on that, but I'll
Yeah.
miss that.
Yeah.
So has the Dynamics environment been scaled down to 10.25 inch for this?
No, not only the gauge requirement is you need to build to that gauge, but everything else, I don't think we scaled anything other properties. No, it's not. Your G is still 9.8. Your all that sort of. Your time is still in seconds. Yes.
Gauging of the.
Yeah, only gauge is scaled down. That's yeah.
I just asked one quick.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe you mentioned it. I
Yeah.
missed it. Have we got a date for the online session or?
No, we don't have a date yet. That's one of the questions. Well, that's one of the questions we want to discuss with you guys today. Is like, when is the best date for you? We could do before Christmas or after Christmas, or just want to understand when is the best for everyone in the challenge.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll arrange that
Yeah.
afterwards then. We'll ask people when.
Yeah, sure.
When they're like.
When you request a license,
Yeah.
is it for a set period of time?
Yes. Yes, it's for the duration of the challenge. So the next year we'll renew, and depends on which university will do it and which do not. And it will be cloud-based license. As currently it's our dongle based, we develop a cloud license function. So yeah, we can just email people the license code, and then they can use it without any physical memory stick sort of dongles. Yeah. Yes.
I understand Vampire is more of a dynamic simulation. I wondered if there's any capability for aerodynamic simulations software.
Yes. The question is whether Vampire does a lot of railway dynamics, but does it do any aerodynamics? No, unfortunately, I don't think it does aerodynamics. I think typically use a finite element software to do that. Yeah, you can use your aerodynamics force into vampires, give it as resistance, and then work out, like how much, how much like longitudinal, well, traction for effort you need to apply, etc.
There is a follow-up question to
Yeah.
that, but I'm actually going to take it.
Yes.
About
Yeah.
software access.
Yeah,
between
sure.
teams for-
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
Of
you.
course. Yeah. Any question for me?
There's,
Yeah.
sorry, I'll just turn on my
Don't tell
phone.
me there's 200.
There is one more question online from Vampire specifically, so I'll just ask that. But
Yeah.
if you two, I think there's quite a lot of questions. I won't go through them all, but we'll try and answer them in text later.
Yeah.
Specifically on Vampire, Yoshi.
Yeah.
There's a team that has, so there's a few teams, I believe, at competition who
Yeah.
actually have different gauge test tracks.
Okay.
So they have vehicles that they can swap between 10¼ inch
Yeah.
or Stapleford
Yeah.
and 7¼ inch
Well, that's
for their
interesting.
testing at their own site
Mm.
or at
Yeah.
another location. How is the limit done, and will they be able to use a 7¼ inch gauge?
I need to confirm that, but my understanding is it just doesn't allow you to model normal gauge.
Okay, so it's a kind of restriction on the maximum gauge,
Yes.
you think?
Yes, I think, but I need to double check that.
So hopefully, Finn, that answers your question, and hopefully you should be able to model your 7¼ inch.
If we limit it to the gauge, we can quickly change that anyway.
Okay, so even if that is a problem,
Yeah.
we can hopefully sort that.
Yeah,
out.
well, we are developers. We can just quickly change it.
Okay, there's yes,
So is that all the questions for you, do you think?
I think so, but quite a lot have come in.
Well, we'll do the other ones.
Thank
you very much, Yunchi. Thanks very much for your presentation. And Yunchi, are you around all day?
Yeah, I'm wrong.
Yeah, so Yunchi's around all day.
Let me know if
Are there other questions now that all of us need to?
I think mostly yourself and Malcolm. There's quite a few on the technical spec from Eric. I might answer. We might answer some of them afterwards by text, Eric, if that's all right. And some of them might actually be answered in the later question about ride-on locomotives. So we'll wait for those as well. So there's one about affiliation with the Institute of Mechanical Engineers.
Okay.
I think, is
That
that
might be one
related
to
to a
live.
rule that members should be affiliated with either the IMechE or a similar
Yeah. So
organisation?
what's the question, or?
I think it's basically what kind of organisations would be suitable, and I suspect
I
it
think
may
we're
be
reasonably
on
flexible on that. So particularly for international teams,
Yeah.
they may well not be members of the or affiliate members of the IMechE, but if they're members of the equivalent organisation in their country,
Yeah.
I think we would tend to be very flexible with that. So perhaps that's a specific one that they'll need to just send in so we can check.
Yeah,
Who is the question from?
Eric.
Which team is Eric?
Which team are you, Eric? Feel free to
Eagle, Nürnberg.
mention in the chat or something.
Okay, perhaps we'll come back to that then.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be a barrier anyway. Affiliate membership is free, but I think it's only for people who are students on a mechanical engineering course. Maybe even it has to be accredited by the IMechE. Any course, is it? Okay, so either affiliate membership can be arranged for you, and I'm not certain about that for the international teams. People are nodding in the room, or we'll accept different type of membership with another organisation.
So he's from Nuremberg, by the way.
Yeah, okay. All right, we'll get back to Eric on that one. We'll have a note of these questions, won't we?
Yeah. There's one from Zaim. I think this. So the question is, are there any catenary lines at the track? And the simple answer is, at Stapleford, there are no catenary lines.
No.
However, I wonder if a follow-up question might be, could they consider something like that for the innovation challenge or the business case? Even if practically it's not there at the competition, could they include it in some of their submissions as an idea?
I don't know. That's quite a forward-looking question. There's certainly no catenary and no plans to have that. I mean, I suppose the only possibility might be a short length of catenary to power batteries or something, but not in the near future. Bridget, do you want to?
It would have to be outside the loading gauge.
Yeah, Bridget's pointing out it would have to be,
Distance outside the loading gauge.
would have to be outside the loading gauge.
It's a forward-looking statement.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything that the organisers are planning to set up in the near future, but it's something that could be discussed, I suppose. What else have we got, Martin, that we can deal with?
There's a few more coming in about optional challenges, so
Yeah.
again, I'll leave them till later.
Oh yeah, we've got a session in the afternoon on optional challenges from Tim, so if that can wait till then. Hopefully if that person's attending that bit, if not, they can send the question in.
So there's one about energy storage.
Yeah.
Does it have to be electric? I assume that means capacitors or batteries.
Yeah.
Or can it be another form of storage?
It can be anything you like. The energy storage, you could store it in any way you want to. We have had different things. I'm pretty sure there was a compressed air storage, wasn't there?
Yeah. Mechanical storage.
Oh, of course, we've definitely had a mechanical storage. We've had a spring. So, I mean, the answer is no. There's no restriction on how you store the energy. Well, within as long as it meets the other safety.
Yeah, as long as it meets
the other
those safety
everything else
requirements.
in the rules. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, do something interesting. I'm getting a bit bored with supercapacitors. Sorry. You're just moving to supercapacitors, are you? Or no? Yeah.
We found out one of the springs that he best left in the corner of the room at one point last year. Note of that.
Right. Okay. Hope nobody was injured.
No. Another one's come in. Oh, a logistics question.
Bridget, probably.
From Finn Thompson.
Finn from Heriot Watt. Yeah.
Oh, so it's about the marquees and the
that kind
marquees,
of
not the
logistics.
right word.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for?
It is a marquee.
Gazebo, that's the word I'm looking for. So are they supplied or do the teams bring their own is basically the question.
It's best if the teams bring their own. There may be some spares you may be able to borrow, but if you know what you want, bring it. But be aware that you need some way of fastening it down. It can get windy. But yes, bring your own.
Okay, I think that will probably do for now. There's a lot of questions. I can't look at them all at once, so I'll try and get back to them. It is also time for lunch on the agenda. So just for those online, we are due to kick off the second session at 1:15. So please come back then. We will try and answer some of your questions over lunch if we can. Yeah, see you at 1:15. I think we'll probably mute our mics and cameras now. So.
Okay, thanks, Martin. See everybody in an hour.